Part 1. Intro. If you think day trading is a shortcut to getting rich, stop right there. But if you're looking for a clear path with structure, strategy, and the courage to face a hard truth, that making money in the market is tough but not impossible, then How to Day Trade for a Living should be the first book you read. I've gone through a ton of trading books. Some read like college textbooks. Some just leave you scared and confused. But this one's different. Andrew Aziz doesn't sell you dreams. He wakes you up. No fluff, no fantasy, just straight up practical steps, like a mentor guiding you through the trenches of real-world trading. I'm a PhD in chemical engineering. I wasn't born to be a trader. I had to learn, and I failed a lot before I figured out what I was doing. That's Andrew's story. A scientist who walked away from the lab, jumped into the market, got crushed, lost money, and then rebuilt himself from scratch. But more importantly, he wrote it all down so you don't have to make the same mistakes. In this video, I'll walk you through the book, chapter by chapter, from trading strategies to risk management and what Andrew calls the most important skill no one trains for, your trading psychology. Trust me, if you only read one book before jumping into the world of day trading, make it this one. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Part 2. Who is the author and why should you trust him? The author of this book, he's not some Wall Street hotshot. He's not one of those gurus flexing a Lambo, promising you early retirement. Andrew Aziz is a PhD in chemical engineering. Yeah, you heard that right. A Canadian scientist who once spent his days in a lab, until one day, he walked away from it all to become a day trader, starting from zero. And he's not some prodigy either. That's exactly why I trust what he says. Andrew tells the truth. Like how he made $6,000 on his first trade by pure luck, and then lost it all within weeks, because he thought trading was easy money. That moment shook him. It made him realize, book knowledge means nothing if you don't have discipline, emotional control, and a working system. But instead of quitting, Andrew chose to start over. He studied, he took notes, he tracked every trade, he turned painful lessons into clear principles, and eventually, he wrote them down to help others avoid the same traps. But he's not just a writer, he's the founder of Bear Bull Traders, one of the most respected day trading communities out there. Even Investopedia named it the best day trading course of the year. This is someone who failed, who got back up, and then helped thousands of others do the same. To me, that's the kind of teacher you can trust. So when Andrew says, you need to treat trading like a serious job, not a hobby or a gamble, I listen. Part 3. Who should read this book? You don't need to be a math genius, you don't need an MBA, and you definitely don't need a background in finance. But if you're serious about treating trading like a real profession, then this book is for you. So, who's going to get the most value from it? First, complete beginners. If you've never placed a trade before, if you're overwhelmed by random advice on YouTube or Reddit, this book gives you your first real roadmap, from understanding the basics to setting up software, choosing stocks, and using actual entry strategies. Second, struggling traders. Maybe you've been trading for a while, some wins, more losses, but no idea why. This book gives you a clear framework, strategy, risk management, and psychological discipline. And third, people who want to trade with control, not emotion. If you're tired of gambling your money away without a plan, this book will help you build a system that's repeatable, logical, and built to last. Now let me be clear, trading isn't for everyone. But if you've got discipline, patience, and a real hunger to learn, Andrew gives you the foundation you need to build something real. Part 4. Book structure and key takeaways. Andrew starts strong. Day trading is not a game, it's a job. And just like any job, it takes time, the right tools, and a whole lot of discipline. You're competing with professionals on Wall Street, people with 6 monitors, research teams, and lightning-fast systems. You show up with a $1,000 account and expect to outsmart them? You need a reality check. This is where Andrew asks the hard questions. Are you in this to get rich quick? Or are you willing to take some losses now in exchange for long-term skills? If you treat trading like a profession, you just might survive and even thrive. Let's talk about tools. As Andrew says, a trader can't go to war with toys. You need serious equipment. A pro-level trading platform like Trader Pro, level 2 market data, That's essential for intraday decisions. A trading simulator so you can practice without burning real cash, and a decent setup, a reliable computer, good internet, a second monitor if possible. Now here's what I really like. Andrew doesn't tell you to go broke on fancy gear. He teaches you how to test tools first, how to minimize your costs, and how to practice in demo mode until you're ready to go live. Then we get to what most people buy the book for, the strategies. Andrew doesn't throw 100 systems at you. He focuses on a few simple, repeatable ones. Opening range breakout. You trade during the first 5 to 15 minutes after the market opens. VWAP pullback. You buy when price returns to the VWAP after breaking out. The ABCD pattern. A clean, high-volume setup based on price movement and structure. And here's the key. For every strategy, Andrew walks you through it step by step. Where to enter, where to exit, where to put your stop loss, how to set a realistic target, and how to read volume, price behavior, and crowd psychology. Because at the end of the day, a good strategy means nothing if you don't have the discipline to follow it. Now let's talk about something most people ignore, risk management. You can win 3 trades in a row, but one bad trade, just one, can wipe you out, unless you manage your risk. Andrew teaches how to size your positions based on your stop loss and total capital at risk. He shows you how to aim for at least 2-to-1 reward to risk ratios, and when to cut the trade the moment your plan breaks down. It's not complicated, but it could literally save your trading career. And here comes the real killer, trading psychology. This is where 90% of traders fail. Not because of bad setups, but because of bad habits. Bad reactions. You can have a perfect plan, but if fear or greed kicks in, you'll break your own rules. You'll overtrade, you'll revenge trade, and you'll lose everything. That's why Andrew talks about his morning routine. He wakes up early, goes for a run, takes a shower, eats breakfast, and dresses like he's heading to work. Why? Because trading is his job, and jobs require structure. It's not about routines, it's about mindset. Routine creates the mindset, and mindset drives your actions. Without the right mindset, no system will ever work. Now here's a part most traders skip, but Andrew calls it a secret weapon. The trading journal. Write down every trade, why you entered, what you were feeling, what happened, what you learned, because you can't improve what you don't measure. And with journaling, you'll learn more about yourself than any strategy ever could. So here's the bottom line. This isn't a book of magical systems. It's not a hype manual. It's a clear, realistic, and honest roadmap. There are no promises of fast money, no secret shortcuts, just real work, real structure, and a real path forward for anyone who's serious about trading. Part 5. Valuable lessons from the author himself. You know what? Andrew Aziz made $6,000 on his very first trade. 1,000 shares, bought at $4, sold at $10. Straight to the moon. Sounds like a dream, right? And it was. But the dangerous kind. I thought I'd cracked the code. I started thinking the market was an ATM, and then I lost it all. That's what Andrew wrote in the book. In the weeks that followed, he kept losing. Not because his strategy was bad, but because he didn't have a strategy at all. No stop loss, no plan, just emotional trades and blind confidence. And that brings us to lesson number 1. That first big win, it might be your biggest trap, because it tricks you into thinking you're good, when really, you just got lucky. But Andrew didn't give up. He stepped back, reflected, and started over. He read every book he could find. He logged every single trade. He studied his emotions, his mental habits, his thought patterns. And finally, he came to one key realization. Trading isn't gambling, it's a job, a real one. And just like any real job, it needs discipline. I started waking up early. I'd go for a run, shower, eat breakfast, get dressed like I was heading to work. Then, I'd sit down to trade. Not to look professional, but to feel professional. Because he knew, if you want trading to pay you like a real job, you have to treat it like one. And that brings us to lesson number 2. You can't trade successfully if you treat it like a game. You need habits, you need structure, you need an environment that supports your focus, even if you're trading from home. Now here's the part I really admire. Andrew doesn't share his failures to make himself look good. He shares them so you don't have to go through the same pain. He says it simply, I lost. You don't have to. So if you're just starting this journey, the best advice I can give you is this. Don't wait for the market to punch you in the face. Learn from someone who's already taken the hit and lived to tell the story. Part 6. What I love most about this book. If I had to pick just 3 reasons why I genuinely love how to day trade for a living, here's what I'd say. First, it's ridiculously easy to understand, like a buddy sitting next to you, pointing at your screen, saying, "Here, this is how I trade. Try it out. Just don't be as dumb as I was when I started." The tone is raw and real. Not preachy, not full of jargon. It's clear, approachable, and most importantly, relatable. You don't feel like you're being lectured. You feel like someone is finally showing you what everyone else just talks about. Second, the strategies are specific, and they're clearly explained. You won't find vague advice like, buy when the market feels strong. No, Andrew breaks it down. What the ABCD pattern looks like, how the 5-minute ORB works, what a valid volume breakout actually is, where to place your stop loss, and why to enter at a specific price level. You're not just getting theory, you're getting application, and that's a total game changer. Third, the psychology and discipline section is brutally real. Honestly, this is my favorite part of the book. Andrew doesn't avoid the biggest reason most traders fail, their own mind. He says it straight. I've revenge traded, I've overtraded, I've slammed my keyboard. I know what that feels like. And because he's been there, his advice isn't some fluffy stay calm nonsense. It's stuff that actually works. Build a morning routine. Shut your computer when your head's not right. Write down your emotions after every trade. Never enter a trade just because you feel the need to make back a loss. There's no sugarcoating here. Just real experience, real mistakes, real solutions. This book won't make you rich overnight, but it will give you something far more important, a solid foundation that most traders never even build. Part 7. Weaknesses or things to watch out for. No book is perfect, and how to day trade for a living is no exception. Here are 3 things you should know before diving in. First, the book is heavily focused on the U.S. stock market. Andrew's experience comes from trading U.S. equities, using tools like DAS Trader Pro, Level 2 data, and platforms linked to NYSE and NASDAQ. So if you're trading Forex, gold, crypto, or markets outside the U.S., like Vietnam for example, you'll need to adjust and adapt some of the concepts. It still applies, but it needs tweaking. Second, the strategies are simple, and for some people maybe too simple. If you're an intermediate trader, you might find ORB, VWAP pullbacks, or ABCD setups a little too basic. They're not algorithmic systems. They're not advanced technical models. But that's the point. Andrew keeps it simple, so beginners can take action without drowning in a sea of indicators and complexity. If you're hoping for some secret strategy no one's ever heard of, this book isn't it. Third, and this one's important, this book doesn't replace practice. It gives you the mindset, the structure, the strategy, but it won't make you a trader overnight. Finishing this book won't make you money, but it might stop you from losing it. Like thousands of other new traders do, you still need to practice. Use a simulator, journal your trades, study your mistakes, and keep sharpening your edge. Bottom line, this book isn't perfect, but if you understand its limits, you can extract 100% of its value. Part 8. A quick comparison with other trading books. If you've ever browsed Amazon or Googled best trading books, you've probably seen a sea of titles. But here's the truth. Each book is just one piece of the puzzle. And how to day trade for a living is the first piece, especially if you're just starting out. Let's compare. First, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. That book goes deep into psychology, belief systems, self-sabotage, mental reprogramming. It helps you fix your thinking before you're trading. Meanwhile, Andrew Aziz gives you something more hands-on. How to set up your software, how to use tools, how to enter your first trades. If trading were like learning to drive, Douglas teaches you how to stay calm at 80 miles per hour. Andrew teaches you how to actually drive the car. Next, One Good Trade by Mike Bellafiore. That one dives into the world of professional prop firms. It's detailed, insightful, but the tone is more rigid, and the environment feels a bit far from what solo traders deal with. Andrew's book is much more relatable. Just you, a laptop, a small account, and a clear plan. Now, The New Trading for a Living by Dr. Alexander Elder. This one's comprehensive. Psychology, money management, systems, it's all there. But it's academic. It's long. Andrew's book is shorter, simpler, more practical, and honestly, a better starting point for beginners. So if you're just getting started and you feel lost in the sea of trading books, How to Day Trade for a Living is your user manual before you move on to the heavy stuff. Part 9. Who shouldn't read this book? Not everyone should read How to Day Trade for a Living. And I mean that. There are some people who just won't get much out of it. First, people looking to get rich quick without learning. If you're expecting some secret formula to turn $500 into $5,000 in a week, just keep scrolling TikTok. This book isn't for you. It doesn't promise riches, but it does promise this. If you study, practice, and treat trading seriously, you'll give yourself a real chance to survive and maybe even thrive. Second, people who don't have time to train. You can't read the book, open a live account the next day, and expect to profit. You need a simulator. You need a trading journal. You need to fail and then learn from it. If you can't commit even 1 or 2 hours a day to get better, this probably isn't your time yet. And third, people who aren't ready to face themselves. This book will ask you hard questions. Do I actually have discipline? Am I trading from a plan or from emotion? Am I really serious about this? If you're not ready to answer those honestly, you might find the book uncomfortable. And that's okay, because here's the bottom line. Day trading is real work. And if you still think it's a game, maybe don't read this book just yet. Take some time and come back when you're ready to go all in. Part 10. Conclusion. If you're just stepping into the world of trading, if you've lost money and don't know what went wrong, if you want to turn trading from a vague dream into a real, structured profession, then How to Day Trade for a Living is the book you should start with. This book won't make you rich. It won't turn you into a trading superstar in a week, but it will help you. It'll help you understand how the market actually works. It'll show you how to set up your tools, your strategies, and your rules. It'll teach you how to avoid the classic painful mistakes that 90% of beginners make. And most importantly, it'll help you start the right way. You don't need a magical system. You need a simple one, and the discipline to follow it every single day. If you've already read the book, read it again, but this time do it with a notebook or trading journal beside you. If you haven't read it yet, grab a paperback copy. Highlight it, write notes in the margins, and start practicing on a simulator today. Want to take the next step? Check out Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas if you want to go deeper into mindset, or The New Trading for a Living by Dr. Alexander Elder for a full, well-rounded view of risk and system development. And if you're interested, I'll be breaking down both books in upcoming videos, chapter by chapter, mindset by mindset, so make sure you don't miss those. Here's what I believe. The right knowledge plus the right actions over enough time equals real results. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, share it with someone who's still figuring things out in the market. And if you've already read this book, drop a comment below. Tell me your favorite takeaway. This is Investory Hub. Decode the market. Master the mindset. Start your journey today.